Imagine waking up one day to discover that everything you once believed about the world, your purpose, your destiny, and the meaning of life, had been an illusion. How would you feel? Would you be overwhelmed by despair, or would you search for something greater, something real? This is the journey that C.S. Lewis himself embarked upon, a transformation from a staunch atheist to one of the greatest Christian thinkers of the 20th century. His writings, filled with profound insights into faith, hope, and love, continue to inspire millions. But why? What is it about Lewis's words that penetrate so deeply into the human heart? Today, we will explore Lewis's powerful perspectives on these three virtues, faith, hope, and love, not merely as abstract ideals, but as the foundation of a life filled with meaning, purpose, and divine truth. Join me as we uncover how Lewis's reflections can radically change how you see yourself, your struggles, and the ultimate journey of the soul. Faith, the leap into the unknown. C.S. Lewis did not believe in faith as blind acceptance. Instead, he saw it as a reasoned trust in what cannot yet be fully seen. He once wrote, "Faith is the art of holding on to things your reason has once accepted, in spite of your changing moods." How often do we let our emotions dictate our beliefs? One day, we feel close to God. The next, we are filled with doubt. Our minds may accept the truth, but our hearts waver. Lewis understood this deeply because he experienced it himself. He once described his conversion to Christianity not as an emotional epiphany, but as a reluctant surrender. "I gave in and admitted that God was God, and knelt and prayed, perhaps that night the most dejected and reluctant convert in all England." But once Lewis took that step, he began to see faith as a form of trust, a trust that endures even in times of darkness. Faith, according to Lewis, is not a passive belief, but an active choice to hold on to truth, even when feelings fade. He often illustrated this through his fictional works, particularly in The Silver Chair from the Chronicles of Narnia. In this story, the character Puddleglum, despite facing overwhelming deception, chooses to believe in Aslan, the Christ figure, even when all evidence seems to suggest that Aslan does not exist. This is faith in action, believing in the truth, even when the world tells you it's a lie. How often do we let circumstances dictate our faith? How often do we base our belief in God on how much we feel His presence, rather than on the truth of His promises? Lewis calls us to rise above the instability of feelings and embrace faith as a discipline, a commitment to trust in God even when the world seems silent. Hope, the deep longing for something more. Hope, in Lewis's view, is far more than wishful thinking. It is the deep yearning for something beyond this world, a yearning that, Lewis argued, is itself evidence of a higher reality. He famously wrote, "If we find ourselves with a desire that nothing in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that we were made for another world." Think about that for a moment. Have you ever achieved a goal, reached a milestone, or acquired something you desperately wanted, only to find that the happiness it brought was fleeting? This is the human experience. No matter what we attain, wealth, success, love, there remains a deeper longing that nothing in this life can fully satisfy. This, Lewis says, is not a flaw in creation, but a clue. It points to the fact that we were not made for this world alone. He expands on this in Mere Christianity, explaining that while we should appreciate earthly joys, we should never mistake them for the ultimate fulfillment of our souls. They are merely shadows, signposts pointing us to our true home. In The Great Divorce, Lewis paints a stunning vision of heaven as a place so real, so solid, that the people from the grey town, symbolic of hell, cannot even walk on the grass. It is too solid for their insubstantial existence. This illustrates a powerful truth. What we long for is not mere fantasy, but a greater reality than we can currently comprehend. Hope, then, is not just an optimistic outlook. It is a recognition that our deepest desires are meant to be fulfilled in God, in eternity, and not merely in the temporary pleasures of this world. If we truly embrace this, it changes how we live. We stop grasping for fleeting pleasures and instead set our hearts on what truly lasts. Love, the highest of all virtues. For Lewis, love was the most profound of all virtues, but he distinguished between different kinds of love: affection, storge, the natural bond between family members; friendship, philia, the love between close companions; romantic love, eros, the passionate love between lovers; charity, agape, the selfless, divine love that seeks the good of others, regardless of personal cost. In The Four Loves, Lewis argues that while all these loves have their place, only agape, the selfless, sacrificial love of God, is truly eternal. He describes how human love, if not rooted in God's love, can become possessive, jealous, or even destructive. But divine love, by contrast, is freeing. It gives without seeking anything in return. In The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, Aslan willingly gives his life for Edmund, a traitor who does not deserve such a sacrifice. This is a direct parallel to Christ's sacrifice for humanity. Love, in its purest form, is not about receiving, it is about giving. This is the kind of love that transforms lives. It is the kind of love that forgives the unforgivable, serves without expecting anything in return, and reflects the very heart of God. And yet, Lewis acknowledges that love is not always easy. To love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything, and your heart will certainly be wrung and possibly be broken. True love requires risk, but it is only in loving others, and ultimately in loving God, that we find our greatest joy and purpose. Conclusion: a life transformed by faith, hope, and love. So what does all of this mean for us today? Faith teaches us to hold on to truth, even when our emotions waver. Hope reminds us that this world is not our final destination. Love calls us to give of ourselves selflessly, just as Christ gave for us. C.S. Lewis did not just write about these things, he lived them. His faith transformed him from a skeptic into a believer. His hope gave him a vision of eternity. His love for God and others left a legacy that continues to inspire millions. Now the question is, how will you respond? Will you choose faith, even when doubts arise? Will you embrace hope, even when life feels empty? Will you love with a selfless, Christ-like love? The choice is yours, and as Lewis would remind us, that choice will shape your eternity.